This explosion from miles away. Now, officials on the ground say they're still notifying the families of the people involved in this explosion. But again, we know multiple people are dead and several more still missing. Take a look at what investigators are dealing with right now.
It was 7:45 a.m. on a Friday morning like any other. Birds were beginning their morning chorus. Coffee brewed in quiet kitchens. Cars rolled down rural lanes. Ordinary rhythms, ordinary lives. Until a deafening blast ripped through the calm. In rural Tennessee, at a bomb factory few beyond the county had ever noticed, one of the buildings exploded. Inside were dozens of workers, technicians, engineers, operators, all starting another routine day. Now, 19 are missing. What happened in those critical minutes? Was it a catastrophic accident, a fatal lapse in safety, or something far darker? And in the ruins, amid the smoke, fire, and twisted steel, what truth lies buried, waiting to be uncovered? In Bucksnort, Tennessee, straddling the border of Hickman and Humphreys counties, lies Accurate Energetic Systems, a sprawling complex of rolling hills, dense woodlands, and secured fences. It was meant to be quiet, contained, unnoticed.
Avalanche control in
Today,
aerospace.
it is front page news.
The destroyed building was
Tonight, we follow the timeline of destruction, meet the people whose lives were torn apart, and confront questions that have no easy answers. How do 19 lives simply vanish in plain sight? The central question lingers, where are the 19 missing? And will we ever uncover the truth behind the explosion? This is their story. At approximately 7:45 a.m. Central Time, a massive explosion tore through one of the production buildings at Accurate Energetic Systems. The plant sprawls across 2,300 acres, a labyrinth of laboratories, storage facilities, test ranges, and office buildings. On that fateful morning, an estimated 19 people were inside that single building. Contractors, technicians, operators, all working with volatile, high-energy compounds. Within seconds, walls crumbled. Vehicles parked outside were crushed beneath falling debris. Smoke billowed into the sky, columns of black rising above twisted steel and rubble. A structure that had once seemed indestructible was now a chaotic heap, its interior reduced to an inferno of metal and fire. Neighbors watched in disbelief. One eyewitness later said, "I felt the house shake. I thought my roof was coming off. Then I saw smoke on the horizon. The blast. It echoed like thunder." Emergency calls flooded 911. Firefighters, sheriffs, and rescue teams rushed toward the scene. But the building remained dangerous. Secondary explosions rattled the area, forcing responders to hold back. Officials described the site as unstable, a perilous landscape where every step could trigger another catastrophe. 7:45, the explosion. 7:46 to 7:50, the first frantic 911 calls. 7:50 to 8:10, responders assess the scene, retreating from danger zones. After 8:10, controlled entry begins. Rescue teams venture into the smoldering ruins. And yet, when the first search teams finally crossed the threshold, not one of the 19 was accounted for. Bodies, remains, injured. Yes. But 19 were missing. In that moment, hope and despair collided. The gulf between what was lost and what might yet be found would define every action in the hours, days, and weeks that followed. These were not statistics. These were people with lives, morning routines, families, debts, dreams. A technician who called home with his last words, "Something's wrong. I don't know what happened." A lab chemist planning to attend her child's soccer game later that afternoon. A maintenance worker who had stayed late the night before, finishing a checklist he never got to submit. One family member recalled, "I waited for his call at 8 a.m. Nothing. I texted. No response. I felt in my soul that something was terribly wrong." Another said, "She was always punctual, always texting me on the road. I kept refreshing my phone, over and over, hoping for any sign." In Bucksnort, McEwen, Nashville, entire communities were rocked to their core. Support groups formed overnight. Candlelight vigils illuminated the darkness. Social media erupted with pleas, tributes, and hashtags. Find the 19TN. Local churches, neighbors, and strangers came together, bringing food, comfort, and hope amid the uncertainty. The ripple effect went far beyond the plant's fences. Accurate Energetic Systems was a major employer in a remote region. Families relied on it. Teachers, local businesses, hospitals, all were stunned, all were watching, anxious, waiting. And to the missing, each hour stretched like an eternity. Were they trapped underground, blown clear by the force, buried under debris, alive, or already gone? The human toll could not be measured in numbers alone. It lived in the fear, the grief, the uncertainty that now consumed every corner of the community. Within hours, local authorities had secured the site. Humphreys County Sheriff Chris Davis confirmed multiple casualties and that several people remained unaccounted for. Federal agencies quickly joined the response. The ATF, the Department of Homeland Security, and the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. Officials declared the facility under a joint federal and local response, signaling the gravity of the disaster. Investigators began canvassing the perimeter. They combed for structural failures, electrical anomalies, chemical residues, security logs, and camera footage. Anything that could explain the catastrophic blast. Secondary explosions hindered early recovery efforts, leaving sections of the plant off limits. Structural engineers assessed that blowouts may have collapsed floors, burying machinery, even tunnels, under rubble. Forensic teams deployed ground-penetrating radar, drone overflights, and thermal imaging. Yet days into the operation, no traceable signals from the missing had been found. No cell pings. No voices heard. No survivors identified. What were they searching for? And more chillingly, what were they not searching for? As the smoke began to clear, a troubling pattern of contradictions emerged. Despite assurances that the facility had no prior violations, leaked internal audits suggested otherwise. Some safety assessments rated critical zones as moderate to high risk. Former employees, speaking anonymously, claimed that maintenance red lines, warning flags of potential danger, sometimes sat unresolved for weeks, left to gather dust while production continued. The building struck by the explosion housed high-energy compounds, destined for military aerospace and demolition projects. Experts warn that even a small leak, a spark, or friction can trigger a chain reaction, a catastrophic escalation in a matter of seconds. In energetic materials manufacturing, layers of redundant safety are standard, but complacency is deadly. One oversight can propagate faster than you imagine. Whispers began to circulate. Security cameras offline or missing footage during the critical window. Internal rooms marked as restricted and lacking full oversight. And as a government contractor, parts of the plant operated under classified or semi-classified protocols, limiting transparency, audits, and even media access. We were told never to question the schedule. Deadlines, production quotas. If something flagged, we'd cover it or move it quietly. Could negligence, cost pressures, or internal secrecy have compounded into catastrophe? And an even darker question lingers. If some of the missing were already irrecoverable from the start, was critical evidence lost before the public even knew what to look for? The hidden layers of this tragedy suggest that the truth may lie not just in what happened, but in what was never allowed to surface. At this point, three leading theories dominate, both public discussion and the ongoing investigation. First, an accidental chain reaction. A spark, a small ignition, something as simple as friction, or a static discharge, could have set off the explosive. Compounds in storage, triggering cascading detonations. The pros, it fits the industrial nature of the plant and the known inherent risks of handling high-energy materials. The cons, forensic traces would likely remain, unless, of course, the collapse of the rubble destroyed them. Second, human error or negligence. A lapse in protocol, shortcuts taken, ignored alarms, deferred maintenance. Insider accounts and past incidents make this theory plausible. The challenge, proving negligence, is incredibly difficult, especially in a facility operating under classified or semi-classified conditions. Third, deliberate sabotage or foul play. Could an internal actor or even an external adversary have introduced a device or tampered with systems? This would explain missing camera footage, oddly timed failures, and conflicting statements. But the cons are significant. The burden of proof is high, and no confirmed motive has surfaced. Which theory carries weight? The accidental theory remains the strongest in conventional industrial disasters. Yet the negligence theory is deeply troubling. particularly if warnings were muted, ignored, or suppressed. And the sabotage theory, while speculative, cannot be dismissed when so many pieces of the puzzle remain unresolved. None of these theories can yet be ruled in or ruled out. The deeper we dig, the more the edges blur. What is clear, however, is this: the truth lies somewhere in the shadows of evidence, between what has been said and what has been deliberately hidden. In the days and weeks that followed, the consequences rippled far beyond the plant's fences. Families demanded transparency. Legal teams filed Freedom of Information requests. Local government held hearings on industrial safety oversight. Media investigations dug through security tapes, internal emails, and past safety audits, all brought into the harsh light of public scrutiny. At a press briefing, an official declared, "We owe the victims, we owe the families, the full truth." Yet, as of now, no public indictments have been announced. No executives arrested. No confirmed leaks or whistleblowers have stepped forward. Some local administrations pledged regulatory changes. Nearby plants reassessed safety protocols. But for the 19 missing, for their loved ones, the most urgent question remains: are they ever coming home? The explosion has reshaped trust. In industry, in government oversight, in corporate responsibility, it has exposed a chilling reality: how vulnerable we are when powerful technology intersects with opaque operations. The morning when 19 people vanished should haunt us all. This is not just a story of industrial disaster. It is a story of lapses in vigilance, silences in oversight, and the human cost of concealed risk. If we fail to demand answers, history will repeat itself. If we accept secrecy in the name of security, we empower unthinkable risk. The central question remains: where are the missing? Who will bear responsibility? To the families, to the innocents swallowed by smoke and steel, may these words give voice to their absence. To the public, the watchers, the curious, your eyes, your awareness, help define what justice even means in this case. If you believe the story of these 19 people deserves more than silence, and don't scroll past, share, amplify, ask questions. Push your local and federal representatives for updates. Because when 19 lives vanish, we owe it to them not just to remember, but to demand the truth. They are missing, not forgotten. If you have any information, contact the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, the ATF, or your local sheriff's office. This is not over.